Britney Spears in the news again as she announces her engagement to Sam Asghari. Fans reacted very swiftly, leading to some to remind Britney of the power of a prenuptial agreement. Even Octavia Spencer joined in posting, making him sign a prenup on her Instagram post. Of course, Sue O'Connell getting down to the bottom of this, digging a little deeper. Sue, in the words of a once wise Kanye West, holla, we want prenup, we want prenup.
Yeah. Natalie, prenups. I'm thinking a lot about them. A prenup, of course, is a written contract that between you and your fiance that you sign before getting legally married. It details exactly what happens to finances and assets during your marriage, but in the sad event of a divorce. Now, Octavia later apologized for that comment, saying she was just making a joke. But Octavia, you are not wrong. Britney is worth an estimated $60 million. She said her conservators were preventing her from marrying, and her dad and conservator Jamie Spears, remember, he asked the court to terminate the agreement, and the next conservatorship hearing is scheduled for September 29th. And even fiance Sam Asghari agrees. He posted a 100% emoji to Octavia's post and later posted to Instagram stories, quote, "My phone exploded today. Thank you for the overwhelming love and congratulations. We both love every single one of you. Thank you to everyone who is concerned about the prenup. Of course, we're getting an ironclad prenup to protect my Jeep and shoe collection in case she dumps me one day." Well, it got me thinking, shouldn't everyone have a prenup? I spoke with Penelope Hefner. She's a family law attorney about the power of the prenup. Thank you so much for joining us. Look, it's 2021 and people are going on dates and asking about vaccination status, right? But we're still not talking about money when it comes to serious relationships. Before we get to talking about a prenup, what would be your advice as to when to have a discussion about money in relationships and sort of the legal contract of getting married and what that means?
I think when marriage becomes a topic of discussion, that's the time to talk about a prenup. I don't think there's any such thing as talking about it too early because it can be a challenging process and you need the time to make sure that you can both navigate through it and still leave yourself plenty of time to prepare for and celebrate the actual wedding.
You know, 100 years ago or so, marriage was really more business oriented. Like, when you got married, it was a contract first, maybe love if you were lucky later. And we kind of made this big leap from just going from it's not about business, it's not about contracts and law, to it's about love and rainbows and unicorns. What's your advice to couples starting out, just dating before they get to the altar, about how to navigate conversations about what would happen if, God forbid, we break up?
So I think people have to get over the stigma of a prenup and the thought that a prenup means that the marriage won't ultimately be successful. I don't think there's anything wrong with absolutely having that love and passion first, but alongside that can go some discussions about things that can create big strains and issues on the relationship when they don't need to. So a lot of people worry, okay, if the relationship doesn't work out, and statistically there's a chance that it won't. And if it doesn't, rather than having that fight later on when you're both tired and angry and resentful, you can make some decisions that's in the best interest of both parties and do that early on. So taking away the stigma, being mature about it, talking about what you both bring to the marriage, how you want to acknowledge that and respect the other person, I think can be a good start to a relationship, even a very loving one.
One of the things as I was preparing to talk with you today, Penelope, and I said, I'm talking about prenups, and about 4 people individually said to me, well, I don't have anything, right? I'm not worried about this. I don't have anything to share. I don't have anything. What's your advice? It's not just for the 1% prenups, right?
Absolutely. We typically think of people with significant wealth wanting to do a prenup, but sometimes it's actually the reverse of that. We want to do it in a situation where someone is bringing on significant debt. It would be nice to know where everybody stands on that and how that's going to be treated should things not work out. Sometimes it's less tangible things. It's about how you want to proceed if there's a separation. Like, do you want to go to mediation? Do you want to arbitrate issues? it's a lot more that goes into a prenup than just, who gets to keep the money. It can really dictate how you all will proceed as a married couple, how you will purchase things, how you will amass wealth, if there's going to be any need to support one spouse or the other. So everybody brings some type of value to the marriage, whether it's tangible or intangible, and all of that can go into a prenup.
And are there resources for people that may not be able to afford an hourly wage lawyer and may not really have a complicated? Are there places they can go to get information on a more simple prenup?
So that's the beauty of us doing hourly work. If it's more straightforward, it will be fewer hours and less cost. And the more complicated it is, it's typically because there are more assets, more complications, and people are typically prepared to pay for those. So there's not something akin, I would say, to legal services or pro bono work that's typically done with prenups, but that is something that it's worth just talking to an attorney and not just assuming it will be super expensive, because it is something that maybe in theory could be done for a couple of hours of time and is well worth the investment on what you're going to save on the back end, which can be significant in attorney's fees.
Yeah, spend $1 now, save $10 later is always a good rule of thumb. So you're all for normalizing discussions of prenups, right?
I am, and I think that it can be looked at as a positive step, a checklist. A lot of religious institutions require some type of premarital counseling. People look at their finances and have discussions about how they're going to combine those. They talk about whether they want kids or not. So the prenup to me is just one more piece of it, looking at it from the legal aspect.
All right. Well, I look forward to your line of prenup Valentine's Day cards, which I think you should probably launch. Penelope, thanks so much for joining us. We'll talk with you soon.
Thank you so much.
Learned a lot there, Sue.
Yeah, of course, I didn't get an agreement from her, so when she launches those cards, I'm not getting any of that money. So I should probably follow my own advice now.
The one thing that I will say, do you think personally that it takes the romance out of marriage? Because a lot of people romanticize the whole process, and that kind of shocks you with a little bit of reality.
You're talking to someone who has had agreements with roommates, right? So when we are absolutely not going to be living together, we're not fighting about the couch. So I think there should be agreements for everything.
All right,
That's
you're
my
on the
advice.
prenup side. All right. If you learned enough there, can you do mine?
I've got one ready. I've actually got one ready for you and someone else to go after the show. So.
All right, thanks, Sue.